Success is not a miracle. It's not magic. It's not mysterious. It's a formula, one that works every single time, for anyone disciplined enough to apply it. But that's the part people run from, the discipline, because they're not after success. They're after comfort with the illusion of progress. They want results without the structure. They want breakthrough without sacrifice. They want transformation without identity death. And that's why they stay stuck. Not because they don't know what to do, but because they refuse to do it daily. They've heard the formula, but they won't commit to it. Because the truth is, simplicity exposes you. When there's no excuse, when the steps are clear, when the system is obvious, all that's left is your behavior. And that's the part you have to confront. Right here, right now. This is the formula. It's not fancy. It's not trending. It just works. Step 1. Decision that rewrites your identity. Everything begins with decision. Not a feeling, not inspiration, not strategy. Decision. A decision so sharp it slices through your old self. A decision that says, this is who I am now. Everything else is dead. Until you decide with finality, you will move like a leaf in the wind. Pushed by emotion. Pulled by convenience. Owned by comfort. But when you truly decide, you don't ask for signs. You don't look for alignment. You don't consult your mood. You act. You enforce. You dominate. Because decision isn't a mindset shift. It's an identity transfer. And here's what most never understand. The second you decide, you stop being the man who tries and become the man who executes. It's not, I want to be great. It's, I already am. Now everything I do proves it. From that moment forward, you stop chasing clarity. You stop waiting for confidence. You stop hoping things get easier. You become the answer. You become the standard. You become the threat. That's what real decision does. It doesn't inspire. It eliminates all alternatives. Step 2. Execution without feeling. This is where almost everyone breaks, because they still think their feelings matter. They believe they need to feel ready. They believe they need to feel aligned. They believe execution has to feel good. That's weakness disguised as self-care. The truth is simple. Execution doesn't care how you feel. You get up, you move, you do what you said you'd do, period. No extra words, no apologies, no mood checks. You don't wake up and ask, do I feel like being disciplined today? You wake up and enforce the protocol. No debate, no negotiation, no emotion. Because when you're ruled by feelings, you're owned by your weakest moment. But when you move on standards, you become unshakable. You want to be powerful? Then stop chasing motivation. Stop reacting to the weather in your head. Build rhythm, build structure, build command. Every single time you execute without feeling, you cast a vote for the highest version of yourself. And eventually, that version becomes permanent. Step 3. Repetition until identity is unbreakable. You don't rise by intensity. You rise by consistency. Not a week, not a month, until. Repetition is the birthplace of all transformation, and most people run from it. Why? Because repetition is boring. It's not sexy. It doesn't give you a dopamine hit, but the elite, they fall in love with repetition because they understand what you do daily becomes who you are eternally. You want confidence? Repeat. You want clarity? Repeat. You want mastery? Repeat. Not until it gets hard, until it gets automatic. Not until it hurts, until it becomes default. That's the level we're building now, where your habits are harder to break than your goals are to achieve. Where your system runs whether you're tired, stressed, or unseen. It's not just about working hard. It's about working consistently in alignment with the man you said you'd become. And that man doesn't need motivation. He needs motion. He doesn't celebrate the effort. He celebrates the execution. When you train your nervous system to normalize discipline, you eliminate resistance. You eliminate self-doubt. You eliminate identity gaps. Because you're no longer trying to become something. You already are. Step 4. Enforce the standard or become a lie. This is the final line, the wall that separates the dreamers from the doers. Your standard. What you allow, what you tolerate, what you excuse. Every time you say, I'll start tomorrow. Every time you say, it's just one day. Every time you compromise your word, you lower your identity. And eventually you stop trusting yourself. You stop believing your own promises. That's how men break. Not in big moments. In small, quiet, daily self-betrayals. But when you enforce your standard, everything aligns. Your confidence increases. Your clarity sharpens. Your power becomes visible. Because now, you're not saying it. You're proving it. Daily. No drama. No emotion. Just a man keeping his word. And in a world full of noise, that kind of man is impossible to ignore. You've heard the formula. Now comes the hard part. Installing it so deep into your life that it becomes permanent. Because until that happens, you'll drift. You'll relapse. You'll fluctuate between short bursts of motivation and long stretches of mediocrity. This is where most people tap out. Not because the formula doesn't work, but because they never let it become who they are. They understand it intellectually. They can recite the words. But their body doesn't follow through when it matters. Their emotions override their execution. Their comfort wins when the pressure shows up. You want to be different? Then we engrave this formula into your nervous system. This is how. You think hearing the truth once is enough. It's not. Reinforcement is what builds identity, and repetition is the vehicle. You want to be a disciplined person? Then your environment needs to reinforce discipline. Your habits need to reinforce commitment. Your routines need to reinforce identity, not emotion. Most people live with emotional reinforcement. Everything in their life rewards feeling good, not getting better. Their phone, dopamine, their diet, comfort, their friends, validation, their weekends, escape. None of that reinforces the formula. It weakens it. But when you build an ecosystem around the man you've decided to become, you eliminate excuses. You kill friction. You hardwire power. This is the law. If your environment contradicts your standards, your environment will win. So you restructure. You eliminate noise. You remove the options. You build your life to force discipline. Not sometimes, always. Let's get brutally honest. You're not inconsistent because you lack drive. You're inconsistent because you keep giving yourself a way out. You leave the door open. You keep a cushion. You allow softness. And every time life gets heavy, you retreat into that softness. You justify it. You spiritualize it. You say, I needed it. But the truth is, you escaped. You broke your own contract. You let your comfort win. You want to lock in this formula? Then kill your fallback behavior. Delete it. Destroy it. Starve it. Stop making rest your reward for showing up. Stop making pleasure the prize for doing what you're supposed to. You don't deserve a break. You earned the right to raise the standard. That's how elite operators think. They don't celebrate the win. They raise the floor. And once that's your frame, there is no fallback. There is no exit. There is no emotion to soothe you when you fail. There is only enforcement. Anyone can repeat when it's easy. But repetition under pressure? That's the forge. That's where identity locks in. That's where belief is born. You think you need more time? You don't. You think you need better habits? You don't. You think you need more clarity? You don't. You need to repeat the formula when your back is against the wall, when you're exhausted, when no one's watching, when it's boring, when it's thankless, when you're unsure if it's working. Those are the reps that count. Because that's when you prove, this is who I am, regardless of how I feel. And the longer you repeat under pressure, the faster your brain reclassifies struggle as normal. This is what the 1% know. They don't train for the good days. They train for the chaos. They don't build comfort. They build capacity. Because when pressure becomes your default, nothing can stop you. If you want to live the formula, you need to cut your emotional leash. Stop letting your feelings dictate your discipline. Stop measuring your worth by your mood. Stop confusing internal noise with external truth. You feel fear? Move. You feel resistance? Move. You feel doubt? Move. You feel nothing? Move. This is the core of mental mastery, doing what needs to be done without asking how you feel about it. Most people are emotionally fragile. They think they're tired when they're simply undisciplined. They think they're misaligned when they're just uncomfortable. They confuse tension with trauma. Not you. Not anymore. You don't need to feel good to execute. You don't need to feel clear to dominate. You don't need to feel ready to rise. You just move. You just show up. You just keep your word. Because feelings aren't facts. Standards are, and standards lead. The formula will not hold unless you enforce the identity it creates. Every day, every moment, every decision, you are either proving your new identity or betraying it. There's no neutral, no middle ground. You either act like the man you said you'd become, or you prove you're still addicted to who you were. And that's the truth most can't handle. Because it makes every choice a mirror, every decision a measurement. But if you're ready for greatness, you don't hide from that mirror. You look dead into it, and you never flinch. You say, "This is who I am now, and anything less is not allowed to survive." That's how identity sticks. Not by waiting to feel aligned, but by enforcing the alignment every single day. At this stage, you don't follow the formula. You become it. It's not something you try. It's not something you visit. It's not something you reach for when you're in the mood. It is now the baseline of your existence, the frame you operate from, the law you lead with. You don't act like a high performer. You are one. You don't pretend to be disciplined. You embody it. You don't fake confidence. You earn it through motion, through structure, through force. No more wondering. No more waiting. No more potential. You've decided. You've moved. You've repeated. You've enforced. And now, there is no going back. There is no turning back now. The old self has been starved. The fallback has been removed. The noise has been silenced. You've decided. You've moved. You've enforced. You've repeated. Now comes the most important step, owning it. No more waiting for proof. No more hoping for permission. No more wondering if you're doing it right. You're not trying anymore. You are. This isn't something you do. It's who you've become. This is now identity. This is now law. You don't just believe in the formula. You are the formula. You've seen him before. The man who moves when everyone else freezes. The one who leads when others shrink. The one who finishes when others fold. He doesn't look loud. He doesn't brag. He doesn't post his schedule for praise. But you feel it. When he walks into the room, you feel the presence of someone who can't be broken. That man isn't rare because he's special. He's rare because he paid the cost. He decided with zero compromise. He executed without emotion. He repeated until it was burned into his system. And he enforced his standard like his life depended on it. Now he leads. He commands. He dominates. That man is who you are now. Not because you imagined it, not because you hoped for it, because you did the work. You buried the old self. You enforced the new one. And now the world shifts to meet your internal code. Most people run from pain. They think it means something is wrong. They think discomfort is a signal to slow down. But you? You've learned the truth. Pain is the proof you're doing it right. Pain is your trainer. Discomfort is your ally. Struggle is your sharpening stone. The pressure you use to avoid, now it's where you get stronger. Because while most look for ways to feel better, you look for ways to become stronger. While others look for an easier road, you reinforce the one that sharpens you. Because you no longer need life to be soft. You don't need circumstances to bend. You don't need the path to be smooth. You're trained for the friction. You've built your life in it. And that's why you can't be moved. At this point, you're not chasing results. You're enforcing identity. You're building from a different foundation. The version of you that used to operate at random, that used to flinch, hesitate, compromise, he's gone. Now your worst day still outperforms their best. Because your floor is their ceiling. Your minimum is their maximum. Your non-negotiables are what others call breakthroughs. And you didn't get here by accident. You got here by force, by sweat, by silence. Because while they were chasing balance, you were chasing order. While they were seeking motivation, you were building muscle memory. And now you lead from posture, not pressure. Now you dominate without noise. Now you win because that's all you trained to do. You've become what you used to admire, what you used to chase, what you used to think was only for the elite. Now you are the elite, not because you said so, because your system proves it, because your presence confronts softness, because your consistency exposes excuses, because your life is now a message. This is what happens when you stop breaking your word. You don't need to say much. You don't need to explain. Your actions speak louder than most people's vision boards. Your silence produces more than their plans. Your routines outwork their potential. Because you are the proof. You are the method. You are the man people point to and say, I don't know how he does it. And the answer is simple. You do it because you decided to. And then you never broke. No more wandering. No more trying things out. No more bouncing between systems and strategies. You have your formula, and it works. So lock it in, seal it off, make it permanent. This isn't a season. It's a standard. This isn't a program. It's a principle. From now on, your decisions are final. Your discipline is law. Your identity is enforced daily. You don't slip. You don't spiral. You don't need to be in alignment. You move. You execute. You prove. Not with talk, not with hype, with your life, because you've earned it. And now, you own it. This is the final word. Make everything you do undeniable. Make your presence undeniable. Make your work ethic undeniable. Make your habits so loud that you never need to explain who you are again. No more potential, no more planning, no more back and forth. You're not becoming him anymore. You are him, and from this moment forward, that version of you is the only one that survives.